I love this. The story is this. What was the fate of children adopted into families where there's a lineage of cancer running in the family? The adopted child will get the same family cancer with the same probability as any natural sibling, except the adopted child has completely different genetics. The point was this: the cancer was a programming, not a genetic aspect of conscious programming. In today's media storm about COVID is not accurate knowledge. And therefore, how can I operate the system if the knowledge I've been given is incorrect? And the answer is you can't. And now you're a victim.
Fix your mind, and then your body will be fixed. But if you try to fix your body and you don't address the mind, no matter what happens, you are never going to get fixed.
That the fate of a cell was not controlled by its genetics, it was controlled by the environment. And I did this in tissue culture, and I did this with stem cells, and I had genetically identical cells in different dishes and changed the environment, which is the culture medium, and that changed the fate of the cells. The significance back then was all of a sudden genes didn't control the character of this life. It was the environment and the culture. I say, yeah, but what is it? Culture medium. I said, what's culture medium? The laboratory version of blood. So if I grow human cells, I look at human blood, what it's made out of, and make a culture medium. And that's what I did in my lab. I created 3 different versions by changing some of the chemistry. And in one culture medium, the cells form muscle, in another they form bone, and a third they form fat cells. And then I said, but why is this relevant? Because all of a sudden I say, culture medium is equivalent blood, that a human is the equivalent of a culture dish, a skin-covered culture dish with 50 trillion cells inside. So whether the cell is in a plastic dish or whether the cell is in a skin dish, it's still controlled by the environment, which is the blood. And I say, yeah, but then who's the chemist that controls the composition of the blood? I say the brain is the chemist. And then comes the biggest one. So what chemistry should the brain put into the body? And the answer is, it translates the picture in your mind into complementary chemistry. A picture of health and harmony releases wonderful chemistry that supports the vitality of the system. But a picture of failure, things aren't working, I'm afraid, all these things like that, changes the secretions of the brain, shuts down the growth, and can shut down the immune system, because that's what stress hormones do. We now recognize that in that stress moment, the stress hormones shut down the immune system to conserve energy to run away from the threat. And I go, wow. So I say, yeah, when we're stressed out, we become incapacitated in our immune system, okay? So then the significance is, what are we afraid of? And I say, how effective, let's just conclude this. How effective is stress hormones at shutting down the immune system? The answer is, when doctors want to transplant an organ from person A into person B, and the recipient B is going to take foreign organ and stick it in its body, the immediate response of that body is to activate the immune system and reject the foreign cells. So I said, well, how can they help the recipient of the graft? And the answer is, they give the patient stress hormones before the operation so that the system is inhibited by the time they do the transplant. I say they're therapeutically using stress hormones to shut down the immune system. I go, that's a special situation. But today's world, with the fear that is being propagated all over the place, we are shutting down our own immune systems because we bought into the stress. This is perhaps one of the biggest misunderstandings of science that is causing one of the bigger problems. And this misunderstanding is this, the idea of vaccination. I say, what's the idea of vaccination? Well, I'm going to inject into you some foreign stuff, and your immune system is now going to create a response and have a memory to fight that foreign thing. Say, how'd you put that vaccine? I said, well, I used a needle and I injected it in there. I said, you have just bypassed one of the most intelligent organisms in the entire planet, not us, our body. There's more intelligence in our cells than we have, because our cells can do things that we can't even manifest in our technological world. I go, here's one of the biggest problems that I want to address, and I need people to understand it, and that is this. We already have a very functional mechanism for vaccination. Before doctors were here, people have been vaccinated for years before medicine. What do you mean vaccinated? And here's the point. There's a total misunderstanding of what is a tonsil. If you read the conventional book, a tonsil is protection I said, protection from what? Well, all the openings in the head, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, all connect to the throat. So anything that can come in from the outside environment has to pass through the throat, and that's where the tonsils are. I said, yeah, they're there for protection, says the book. I said, wait a minute. The throat has the thickest lining of the entire digestive tract. It's thick as skin. I say, why is it relevant? If there was ever going to be an infection in the digestive tract, the last place in the entire world that would occur would be in the throat. Why? It's so thick, it will reject it. I go, so number one, so why are the tonsils here? Because this is not where the infections occur. And the answer is, tonsils have channels open to the throat. Why the hell do they want to do that? Because they invite the damn antigens into the tonsil where learning occurs. What's the point? A tonsil is nature's natural vaccination mechanism. I'm not against vaccinations, but only if the vaccination is oral, because then it uses the intelligence of the system.